bro, Cannon, I want to hear what you think about this. When they're getting those arguments about the fists, like you don't bring a gun to a fist fight, or you should have been a man and fought with your fist. I'm like, what?
Yeah. So I brought that up on one of my stream. I was like, you crazy. I said, I don't know how many dudes I done seen got stomped out at the club that was carried out of there in an ambulance.
Yeah.
You feel me? Like, you really think that was going to be a fair fight between him and Rosenbaum, or you don't think that the rest of the people was going to jump in and stomp the hell out of him?
Mm-hmm. And take his gun.
And possibly shoot him with it.
Yeah. I mean,
and Lord knows who else.
And you get more people who die every year. This is a fact they didn't talk about. You know, if you take hands and feet, right? Hands and feet deaths, that's way more than gun deaths. Right. So, you know, don't tell me hands aren't lethal. You know, these hands, you know, I mean,
right. It's let's just say Rosenbaum got him, right? He got up under that AR and he missed that shot, and he hawked him and slammed Kyle on his neck and broke his neck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know, it's just ridiculous. And then saying that if skateboards are a deadly weapon, then we need to call Santa Claus and the parents. I'm like, yo, shut up. Like, how many people got knocked out by skateboards during that whole summer of love?
Right.
You know what I mean? They wasn't down there doing ollies and kick flips. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? They down there using them as weapons.
Right.
Simply because they're not looked at as weapons.
Right.
Same thing when he was talking about the girl with the that big ass mag light she had in her hand. I got lights smaller than that to give out a better beam. You told me she had it down because she couldn't see.
This is true. I know what the flashlight you're talking about. We got one.
Yeah, and people carry those all the time. So that's why the guards carry the big ones, because they can club you with it.
Because it's a weapon.
Yeah. Absolutely. And it's about how you use it. It's not about whether it inherently is a dangerous weapon. You can make a pencil into a dangerous weapon if you stab it into someone's temple, right?
Exactly.
Or stab their throat, jugular. You know, it's how you use it, not what it is inherently. And oh man, did you talk about the size matters argument? Because that one kills me. It's like, oh, he just had a Glock. It's like, get the fuck out of here.
He had a 40 caliber bullet. It's a Glock 27. A 40 caliber bullet is a lot bigger than a 223.
Yep. And at that range, I would argue you're more accurate with a pistol than with an AR.
And I said that in one of the videos I did. I said, personally, I think he'd have been a lot faster with a pistol. Instead of swinging that big ass AR around, I can keep that shit close like this. Keep them at boom, 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 boom. Like, I'm sorry. Like, no, he had a Glock 27. I used to carry that gun. It's a 40 caliber bullet. It's a lot bigger than that. A 223 or a 5.56 is a 5 millimeter bullet.
Mm-hmm.
A 40 caliber bullet is huge. You understand?
Yes,
like
that's true.
Like I said, so it's slightly smaller than this 45. Mm-hmm. It's slightly smaller than this 45. Yeah. And at that range, please, if he'd have hit him with that, it would have been a wrap. And if he had hollows in there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And they were trying to say that Full Metal Jacket is more dangerous than hollow points. I'm like, bro, you don't even understand what a hollow point does. Like, it's literally intended to kill you as a person, right? Like, like you'd prefer that? Like, what the fuck? Like, it's insane. And you can tell he had it. He's not a shooter. You can tell they know nothing about guns. He was chicken winging it, and he had the finger on the trigger. Right. I don't know if you guys saw it, but that's actually a crime because he actually covered one of the juries when he swung it up.
Yeah.
Ooh, so that's, so number one is jury intimidation. Number two, in Wisconsin, if he's holding him to the same standard as he held Dominic Black, he should charge himself with a crime because he intentionally pointed a firearm at an individual. Right?
Exactly.
That's it.
Yep. You're right about that.
You're going to charge yourself with a misdemeanor? And
like I said,
ridiculous.
His ass was just too slow. He was too slow.
And he said it. He said, I would have mag dumped. And I'm like, I believe you, but you didn't get it up. You didn't get up, quick enough. Right. And you were trying to be, people say, oh, he's trying to shoot like this. I'm like, he was reacting quickly, but I've seen dumbasses try to shoot like that before. They break their wrist. But, I've seen people who are inexperienced shooters try to shoot like, the tilt style,
Right. And it goes back to what you said about the not having the ear pro on. You seen when he let that shot off on Huber, you seen how he covered up and he went like this. That shit was loud. It backed him up. You know what I mean? Now Kyle was in the moment when you adrenaline pumping, you don't hear that. You don't hear that gunshot. Mm-hmm. You get that robot hearing where everything's like a robot to you. Mm-hmm. But you seen when that gun went off, he backed up because that sound startled the hell out of Grosskreutz. Then he put his hands up. Kyle went low ready, And when he tried to do that bullshit, like he just said, when he tried to go like this, Kyle caught his ass.
Yeah, and there was no fucking re-rack. When they were talking about the re-rack, I'm like, you guys got to drop this shit. That's where the defense fumbled. They could have brought up an expert. They could have had that, man, when that girl got on in the chat and there was 100K people in, they were simping for her so strong that Officer Brittany, they were there like, oh, Bay, oh, this and that. But they could have gotten Bay to go rack the gun and show how long it takes to do a re-rack.
Yeah.
There wasn't
and that's
time.
if the round even comes out at the time.
Exactly. There wasn't time for him to re-rack. And then all of a sudden, because the whole point was there was a guy who ran through the clip, right, real quick. When you slow it down, it looks like there's time for a re-rack. But if you played it full speed, not slowed down, which they didn't do enough of, there's no time for a re-rack. There's no reasonable belief there. Gross quits, covered his ears, like you said, because his ears were hurt. And then he immediately pretty much swung around to try to get Kyle because he thought that Kyle wasn't ready and Kyle couldn't bring the gun up in time.
Right. And that's what happened. And I was like, and I said, if he was like this and Kyle had a jam, click, and he came down to re-rack like he tried to say he did, Gross Quits would have had to jump on him. He'd have shot him. It'd have been a wrap. That's how you know it was never a jam. It was, and then two, if he had to do it, why would he have to do a re-rack with a 30-round magazine? So where's the unspent round?
Where's never found.
Round? And then they argued and said that an unspent round doesn't mean that it's a what do you say? Unspent round doesn't mean it's a live round. It's a fucking live round. What are you talking about?
They never, here's the thing. No ballistics expert too. This is one thing I was yelling, screaming about throughout the trial is, and I call Binger backdoor Binger, not just because of his exploits with the judges, but also because of the way he got in evidence. You're supposed to qualify an expert. The defense is really the only people. They're the only people who qualified an expert. Dr. John Black, the bullet guy, the beard guy who looked like Colonel Sanders. Yeah. He was the only actual expert. But what they did, those sneaky motherfuckers in the prosecution, they snuck in expert testimony from regular witnesses. So all of those witnesses they brought in, they weren't ballistics experts. They were just cops who maybe handled a gun every once in a while.
And most cops aren't even rifle certified.
There you go. They don't even have the expertise. And they called them out on that with the interpolation, with the program. You saw that all they did was buy the program. They pretty much bought the program, the program that the government told them to use, and used it. It's like knowing how to use Photoshop, but you have no fucking clue how Photoshop works. Right?
Right.
You're not an expert. You're just a guy who uses it. You're like, yeah, I just pinched and zoomed. I mean, that one guy who's like, I pinched and zoomed on my iPhone. And you're treating him like an expert? Binger was using his testimony as expert testimony improperly when he was not qualified as an expert. This is the disgusting thing about it. And the defense, to their credit, fucked up because they didn't object to this. Yeah, they didn't object to all this being used as expert testimony. That's how they fucked up.
You want to inject all these artificial pixels in that fucking drone footage, but you ain't want to do that shit with that re-rack. That re-rack testimony you tried.
Nope.
Because you would have been wrong. You'd have saw you was wrong on that, period. Yeah, they knew they was wrong on that shit.
People who know about guns knew that. Like, that's the thing. If they got one person on that jury who knows anything about guns, they're gonna call them on their bullshit. Right? Like I shoot maybe like when I'm in the US, like I probably go shoot like once a month, maybe once every other month, but I'm not like the most like, knowledgeable person. I'm sure that you're way more knowledgeable than me, Cannon, but like still even I like those common sense to me, like basic knowledge about firearms.
Yeah. Not to mention you see the gun, it wasn't a phone. You see the gun drop out his hand when he got his arm shot. You see the gun, you see it drop. Then on top of that, when he went to the hospital, he used an alias. He's an alias in the hospital.
Because he's a criminal.
Then he lied to the police about having the gun in the first place. Then he didn't even have a valid CCW.
The valid CCW,
a valid concealed carry license.
Concealed carry. It was, which is a crime. But guess who wasn't charged?
He wasn't charged. Yeah. Yep.
So,
and, which tells me that what was the other with the husband and wife or brother and sister, what is it?
Zeminski's.
Zeminski's.
Yeah. They not getting charged either.
No, they got dropped, right?
No, they said that the guy has a charge on him. That's why he couldn't testify in court because he has a Fifth Amendment. But they went after Kyle on his Fifth Amendment. That's what almost got the mistrial.
Right.
Well, should have got the mistrial, in my opinion. You just watched a clip of the Rittenhouse verdict live chat between me, Hotep Jesus, and Legal Mindset. To see the full video, head on over to Hotep Jesus' channel and check it out. And while you at it, hit the like and subscribe button on my channel. I really appreciate it.